Hey guys, Ravenclaw here, back with another programming tutorial. How's everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. And I'm actually looking forward to moving on into what I feel is starting to get into the good stuff of programming. Now, what we're going to talk about today is conditional code. We're going to touch on a bit more on strings. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about comparison and the ideas behind how strings are stored in memory. This will be useful for what I'm going to show you. We're going to be doing like a password. Okay, password authentication. Sorry, I haven't had my coffee yet. And now, what else we might do is we may actually, I think we'll actually look at the scanner class. Okay, and we'll start taking input from the keyboard. Okay, so that way you can do cool little things. And I've got a little project I want you guys to work on too, as a bit of homework to do. And we'll make a calculator app. Okay, just a small, probably text-based, but still lets you see how you're going with your programming. Anyway, let's jump into it. Okay, so strings. We all know how to declare a string, right? Now, let's say password 1. We'll just call it pass. Pass1 equals Raven. Okay, oops. Raven. Okay. And we'll go string 2. Pass2 equals Raven again. Okay, we want them to be the same. Oh, wow. Okay, so declare 2 strings. Now we need a conditional statement to, compare. And well, not so much compare, but to give us either a true or false output. Now, conditional statements, what are they? They are as they say they are. They work on certain conditions being either true or false. Now, in everyday life, I'm sure today you've probably come up and had to make a decision, whether it be big or small, but that's how the computing works. They always make a decision, and the CPU in your computer makes decisions, in quotes, decisions, every day, and which is known as branching. Okay, so you need to either go one way or the other, and this is based on conditional statements. Now, alright, so we think to ourselves, alright, we've got a password here. Now we need to declare whether it's true, does it match, or false. So we declare it like this. We go if parentheses. Now this is where the condition gets evaluated, and in this clause here, it must evaluate to true before it can jump into that block. Okay, so if pass1, now the equal operator, as in comparison operator, sorry, is double equals pass2. Okay, now we end it. Remember, to make a block of code, it's the bracky curly brackets. Okay, now we'll just print it out to the console, and we'll say accepted. Okay. Now we need an else clause, which is like this. So it's saying otherwise system.out.println. Now the difference between system.out.println and print is it just adds a new line to the string. Oh, sorry, once it's finished, it just jumps down a line. Where if you did print, it would just concatenate until forever, really. Okay, so we'll say false. Okay, so sorry about that. False. Alright, so what have we got here? So let's just run this, and as we can all see, they should match. And they do. Too easy. Okay? Now, what happens now? Why isn't this the best way to compare? Okay, the reason being is when we declare, remember how I said once you declare a string, that particular string is set in memory, and that's it, because they are immutable. And what's happening here is it's not just going, oh, pass 1 and pass 2, yeah, it's checking each other. No, it's not. what happens is, because we've got the same data value here, it goes through memory and checks, is this already in memory? And it goes, yes. So it simply references the first variable created. Okay, it doesn't create another object. The object's already been created. It just simply then passes a reference to the first one. And a good example of that is like this. String pass 3 equals actually, we'll just go like this. We'll put a space and we'll go pass 1 concatenate, which is the plus, pass 2. And then I'll create another one. Pass 4 equals Raven, space, Raven. Okay. So now, let's go do the same thing. Pass 3, pass 4. That didn't work. But they're the same thing, aren't they? Okay. This is where I was this is what I was getting at. Because it's concatenating the two, okay, it's referencing the original values, which is this and this. And now this is a completely new object. So therefore, when it gets evaluated here, it doesn't match. Okay, because it's evaluating against this one and this one. And it's like, hold on, no. That doesn't make sense. No. And this is what is to be expected. Okay. Now to get around this and to compare strings, a more accurate way of comparing strings is using the method from the string class called equals. Okay. And what this does, it checks the actual value based in those variables. Okay. So now it's going to check the value of this, exact value, and the exact value of this. And you can see that we get in. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. You can also, if I don't know any password manager that would ever implement this, and you can go ignore case. This is obviously never done, but it just shows you, so you can see. Don't worry about it. You know, it's case insensitive now. Okay. So let's now, once we've gotten that under our belts. Now, one thing I will mention before we go any further. There's a thing called nesting encoding. Okay, you may have heard it somewhere, but nesting refers to the indentation of code. Okay, so in this if-else block, you indent your code there, which is called nesting. Now, in Java, it's not so important. It just comes to readability, because if I run that, oh, whoops, what did I do wrong? Oh, yeah, okay. Let's just get rid of that and run it. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you can see it'll work, right? Not so important. Now, there are programming languages out there that are reliant on indentation. I believe Python is one of those languages. Python or Perl, that rely on indentation. If it's not indented properly, your whole code will be stuffed. So just keep in mind, it's more readability for in Java, but get into the habit of indenting your code. Okay, so if you've got an if statement inside an if statement, make sure you indent it appropriately. Just makes it easier for debugging and for readability. I know I talk about readability, but trust me, if you ever get into the programming world, it'll save a lot of hassles. Okay, now we're talking about indentation. Okay, that's cool. Now we're moving on to reading from the input stream. Okay, now what you've seen me use system.out, and some of you may ask, what is that? Is it just to print something? what we're actually doing is we're using the output stream. And let's talk about, in programming, you have an input stream, and the input stream is from data coming into the system. That is your keyboard, printer, if you are reading in from a file, things like that. Anything that's coming into the program, okay? Now, the output stream is as is. We're giving an output to something. We're going out of the system. And in this case, we're printing out to the console. And okay, so with that said, how do we get input from the user? We'll use a class called the scanner. Okay, now we need to import the package to be able to utilize its methods and abilities. So to do so, if you're using Eclipse, you can just highlight it and it'll drop down this little menu here. Okay, now we get to import now Java comes with a huge library of classes and packages and things like that. And we want to call upon the java.util package. So as you can see, it imports the package up here. Now, don't worry about what packages are yet. We will get into code layout, proper practices when it comes into, creating multiple files for the one program and putting them into, respected packages. Then we'll be able to talk about accesses like these publics and stuff like that. Okay, so we've got java.util.scanner. So now we've got the scanner class, and we can use all of its abilities. So what we want to do is we need to declare a scanner class. Sorry about that. All right, so what we want to do is we'll call this input. Okay, so just make it easier to understand. Okay, so as you remember, to declare a new object, we need to use the new keyword, and then we'll go scanner. Now, inside the parentheses here, we need to call upon the input stream, system.in, and close it off. Okay, now we've initialized and instantiated a new class. Okay, so there's a new instance here of the scanner class, or scanner object. Now, what we need to do is we need to store what comes in from the user in a variable, so that way we can use its data. So in this case, we'll just use a string. And we'll call it password. Now, to access that data, what we need to do is we need to call upon the input variable that we've assigned the scanner class to, input, and use one of its methods. Now, in this case, we need to go next. We want to call on the next line. Okay, if it was an integer, you go on the next int, and so on and so forth. But we're using the next line here. Okay, perfect. Now we have the scanner declared. We've got a variable here that is accepting the data from the input. Don't worry about this error here. It'll always say you haven't closed it and input leak. You can just add a suppressor to just get rid of that warning. Okay, so now I've got this password. It's taking in whatever the user puts in. All right, excellent. Okay, so let's just go and declare another variable, and we'll call it stored password, stored pass. Okay, and the password being Raven. Okay, we can think of this as already in the system. Okay, now let's go if password dot equals stored pass. We'll say, okay, access granted. And otherwise, you can go system, go away. That'll do. Okay, so cool. We've got our little system set up here. Now let's see what happens. Okay, actually, you know what? Before we do that, just so I can show you, let's just put an output here. Let's just go. What am I doing? Wrong. Let's get rid of that. We're going to go under here. Okay, we'll go down here and we'll go system.out Okay, and we'll go, please enter password. Okay, so that's all good. I just wanted to show you. See, now you can see it. Now it's not doing anything because we're waiting on input from the user. So let's just go and type Raven. And there you can see, damn, we didn't get in. We're not good hackers. We didn't get the password. All right, let's try that again. Okay, I'd like to type in Raven. We're in. We are good hackers after all. Okay, but you can see the comparison. That's just an example of how it would work. Now, back onto conditional code. If you only have one statement inside this block, you can actually write it like this. You don't actually put the brackets in. It'll still do the same thing. See? Raven? That's just another tip, shorthand. But if you have more than one piece of code in here, you need to put the brackets in. It creates a block of code then. So now we've got that. Now, the scanner class. Let me talk about something here. Okay? Once we declare a line, okay, when you take a line from the input stream, there's things called trailing lines, okay? And this is prominent with the next line system here. So what happens is, if you declare an integer or something above a new line here, next line, when you declare an integer, it drops off another line, so a new line underneath. And sometimes it can actually, if you have a next line here, it can actually pick up that next line here. And it will actually use the trailing line as input for this. And let me show you an example of that. And remember this, guys, because this can be a nightmare if you aren't familiar with this and you've just updated a whole bunch of code and you've gone, why is this not working? And blah, blah, blah. Let me show you. Okay, so please enter your password. Actually, before we do that, let's just put a little thing saying, please enter your clearance. No, let's just please enter your employee number. Okay. So you can use the input. Now we've got to go, we'll go integer, emp number equals input. So you always reference the input stream. Now we want to go to the next int. Sorry guys, I will get my coffee after this before I make my next vid for you guys today. Alright, so emp num. Alright, so we take that in and we will print out the... Actually, we'll put it in here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So I just want to show you the difference. So we can go here, print emp num. Okay. See, we're getting an error now. See, syntax. It's just saying that we need brackets. That's all. Okay. Now we'll just copy that again. Chuck that down here. Ba-ba. Let's run it. Okay, please enter your number. That's all good. My number is 445. Oh, hold on. Why didn't I get to put my password in? What happened there? This is the bug. Okay, this is the bug. So what happens is when we come up here, you notice that we've got an input stream coming in. Okay, and the user has gone ahead and put in their number and pressed enter. Okay, and that enter creates a new line. So what happens is this here is now filled with a blank empty space. And it doesn't allow the user to then put in an input. Okay, so you're saying, Raven, that's all well and good. But how do we fix it? Simple fix. All you need to do is you need to catch that trailing line with this. Input dot next line. Okay? That's it. Now, it only happens if you have like an integer above a string input with the next line. If it was the other way around, you wouldn't get that because the next line catches it and this is expecting an integer. So it doesn't look for a string, it waits for an integer input, okay? So it's only if you have a next line, a next int with a next line underneath it, okay? Now, if you ever get that bug, this is how you fix it. So let's go ahead and do it. Is Raven telling the truth? So my thing was 445. Ah, now we can put the password in. Raven. There we go. Employee 445, access is granted. And we are in, people. And, you know, that's it. And I wanted to touch on this because this is going to be important when we want to create when we do our assignment. I'm going to give you guys an assignment here. All right, so we've got the system.out, system.in. You guys will know what that is. Now you've learnt about the input stream. I wasn't planning on doing that, but I thought it'd be nice and, you know, a cool little thing today. And then we've got the if-else statement here, and that was our conditional code. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do for next lesson, okay, and I may chuck up another lesson tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, I'll see how it goes. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is next lesson we will implement this, but we'll talk about sort of more of conditional statements within loops. Okay, and we'll talk about a for loop, a while loop. Then we might talk also about switch statements, things like that. But I just want to talk about the basis of conditional coding today. And yeah. But, you know, I hope you guys are really enjoying this because I'm loving I love teaching. And this is university grade teaching here for free. So and I'll be getting into a lot more different languages. I know a large range of languages, and I'm going to give it all to you guys, teach you guys. I want you guys to learn and enjoy programming as much as I do. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap that up today. Now, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me, guys. Hit the comment section up down below. I have access to my YouTube channel all the time, and I'll always help you out. Other than that, if you do like this episode, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. And if you're new to this series or my channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. I'd love to have you as part of the Ravenclaw team, and yeah, so you can be notified when all this new content goes up. But other than that, guys, I'm Ravenclaw. See you guys next time.